Welcome back to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast. With the holiday season and Black Friday sales just around the corner, I'm here with 4 Santa's Little Helpers / triathletes that are going to help you find the perfect gift for either yourself or the triathlete in your life. Last year, I did a solo episode by myself, episode 120, which was the Ultimate Triathlete Christmas Gift Guide. If you do want to go and listen to that, they were my suggestions and some ideas. This year is a special Triathletes Christmas Gift Guide episode brought to you by 4 Triathlon Nutrition Academy athletes. We've got all the dudes online today. We had a couple of female and feminine energy people drop out with sickness, so I'll have to bring my feminine energy to bring down the testosterone on this podcast recording today. They've got some really thoughtful, practical gift ideas that any triathlete would love. So whether it's some nutrition must-haves, some essential gear that they're loving, or some other tools to keep them, training hard and performing at their best. So if you're looking for some inspiration or want to drop some hints for maybe some friends or family, then this episode is for you. Now, if you're out running or you're on the wind trainer or driving or something like that, don't feel like you have to rush and get a pen and paper. I'm going to compile all of these gift suggestions in a free download for you that you can go and grab at dietitianapproved.com/Xmas. So Christmas spelled Xmas. All right, to kick us off, we have Chad with some excellent gift ideas for you. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you very much.
Ho, ho,
ho. Ho, ho. The first big gift. So I've got 2 categories. One's a big gift, and then some little stocking stuffers maybe to add to that. So the first big gift would be a bike fit from a professional bike fitter. This is invaluable. Highly recommend this for a number of reasons. One, having the correct fit will help you avoid injury. It will make you more comfortable for those long rides, and it will give you some extra watts. I actually had an athlete who just did this, and he got an extra 15 watts on his FTP test. So
wow.
A bike fit is highly recommended in the big gift category. For some stocking stuffer ideas to go along with that, you could add in some 2 Toms Sport Shield, Glide, butt butter,
yes.
just to make that undercarriage a little bit happier on those long rides. Some other ideas for stocking stuffers would be just like a variety gel pack, maybe a foam roller, or a soft flask for running. So those are my holiday gift ideas for you.
Yeah, they are all good ones. The butt shield. The butt shield would be a slightly awkward one to gift, so you want to make sure you're pretty comfortable with the person to give them some butt shield. Kelly gave me some when he was in Australia, and I'm like, thanks, Kelly. It's currently sitting on my desk. I'm not really sure what to do with it. All right, excellent gift suggestions. Thanks for kicking us off, Chad. Kelly, you're up next.
Okay, and that butt shield was really very thoughtful when I brought that to you. It wasn't just random. It wasn't random. I was very thoughtful, just like these Christmas gifts I'm getting ready to talk to. The first on my list is what I'm calling warming gloves for when you ride the bike in cold weather. So I live in Idaho, and last spring I wanted to go race in Galveston in April, and so I couldn't even get outside to ride until March. And in March, it's still really cold in Idaho. So I get out riding, and if it's very cold, and I mean cold is 40 degrees F, which is, I don't know how many degrees C, probably 5 or something. But my hands get to where they don't work really very well. It's hard to squeeze a water bottle, and it can be hard to open nutrition packets, gels and things. So I ended up getting some gloves they're actually called heated glove liners. And the brand that I have is Neberon, which is spelled Neberon. But you can Google them on Amazon. And the gloves were really nice. They're really thin, lightweight, and they go just above the wrist. But you put a little battery in them up in the wrist area. And then for the gloves that I have, you can set them for a low, medium, or high temperature. And it really is very nice that you can either wear them under another pair of gloves or just wear them in general just the way they are without other gloves. That they keep your hands warm. And then I was able to do my nutrition just fine with those gloves on, or you can take the gloves off if you need to do your nutrition and put it back on. But it was really helpful because I was doing 3-hour bike rides, and I was really, trying to struggle with, well, how do I do my nutrition, but yet get some bike time in the outdoors. So that was a great option. I think that it's well worth it if you ride outside in the cold weather.
Can you touch your phone with the gloves on? You know how some of them, your fingerprint doesn't work?
Yeah, these are set up to where you can still operate your phone with them. I didn't really spend too much time using my phone, so I don't have a lot of practice with them, but they advertise that they do it. And I recall that I was able to use my phone. But that is an important point that I think was a selling point for them.
Yeah, nice. All right, we'll put that on the list so that you don't have to go and try and figure out which ones Kelly is talking about. Go and grab the list.
Yeah.
Dietitianapproved.com/Xmas, and we'll put the link for the specific ones in there.
And I just used the gloves to unlock my phone. And it worked just fine. So they do work. I just proved it again. They do work on myself.
You're cheating. I saw it, Face ID.
You still have to have Face ID even whenever you whisk it up. Okay. Let's see. The next item on my list is a product from a company called Swim Better. And it's a wearable technology that you put on your hands. They kind of clip on your hands or slip over your hands, and you wear them in the palm of your hands when you're swimming. And it's primarily for in the pool, and it's used to give you data on your hand positions and your arm stroke when you're swimming to help you know if you're getting optimal propulsion or swim position whenever you're swimming. So it's really an excellent technology. It's a little more pricey. I think that you can get two different models. You can get a model that it'll record about 15 minutes worth of swim data, which can be plenty for a lot of people. And then they have another model that'll record up to 90 minutes of swim data. And I bought the 90-minute model because I try to, record an entire hour-long swim session. And then I come home and I review the data later. And I also capture some video on a GoPro. But I use it to analyze my swim stroke and look to see if I have these optimum positions, because it'll tell you subtleties like, are your hands facing in a little bit or are they facing out a little bit? And whenever you're going through your stroke, it'll tell you if your arm's moving up and down. And as you go through all the way through all the phases of your stroke, when you're coming through recovery, it shows you how far out your arm swings. And when you're going into the water, it tells you how long you glide. And it's all visually graphed out for you. I mean, it's better than Excel spreadsheets. And so it's just a wonderful tool for someone like me that even though I've had a coach help me with my swimming for a long time, and the coach has been really very good at helping me understand what it is that I need to do to correct, I will think that I'm doing the right things. I will think that I am making those corrections that the coach is telling me to do. But yet, as my swim over time, the improvement just isn't there as much as I'd like it to be. This Swim Better technology helps me know more of in a real time, after every session review, helps me understand what I need to do to improve. And so it's really just this eye-opener for an old guy like me that just, an old dog, new tricks. This is helping me get better at something that has been hard for me to do.
Can you set it up to see how close you are to beating Taryn at Sunny Coast 70?
I can set a goal, and that the goal, my goal is to shave 8 minutes off my Sunny Coast swim time from last year. Unfortunately, that's not enough time to beat Taryn because I already did the math. She beat me by over 8 minutes last year. But if I can just shave 8 minutes off my swim time, I'll be close enough that she won't have time to get out of the water and get up there and record me coming out of the water with her phone. Maybe. But that's what she did this year. She got out of the water and she was there recording me. And so you spanked me pretty good, and it'll be okay. The next item on...
So funny. Hang on, before we move on, how much does a Swim Better cost? Is this a big ticket item for a gift, or is it a stocking stuffer type thing?
No, it's a big ticket item. So if you get like the 15-minute recording option, it's like... I think it was like $799 US, and the full 90 minutes of recording time was like $999. And then I had to buy a subscription for them, which was, if you buy an annual subscription, it was like $8.99 a month. And so I bought an annual subscription, which gives you this access to the platform where you can see all your data. And so I'm giving myself a year to shave off those 8 minutes. And we'll see how well it works from there. So maybe we can revisit this product next year to see if it was money well spent. But it's kind of pricey.
It would be helpful for you, right? People that don't have access to, say, a swimming club or a coach that can watch them swim, it's going to give you that real-time feedback to know whether you are doing the right thing or not, if you are trying to improve.
Yeah, I agree. I think the next best thing, I think ideally, if you can afford it, is to have a coach also, that a coach can help you, because I think there's still this need that if you had enough, camera capability, you want to be able to record yourself, your swim stroke above and below water, and be able to then go back and compare it. Because the technology, the Swim Better technology, it allows you to synchronize video with the digital data that's provided graphically, so that as you go back and review your data, you can watch yourself swimming on a video and also see graphically where it is that your propulsion's the best, or where you're starting to lose power, or you're going too deep, or you're just having problems. You can see that graphically, and on video, having it synced with video is very helpful. I haven't quite figured out all the video stuff yet, but I do record my sessions, and I'm getting that figured out.
Yeah, cool.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
Come on.
Kind of pricey, but I think that's what I need to help to get the improvement I'm looking for. Okay, so the next item on my list was to have a coach. I think the coaches are really very valuable and can do a lot of things to help you improve. And so I recommend a coach. And so if you can afford one of those, so you look at it and you say, is that on the pricier end? It just depends on who you go with and what it is you're trying to accomplish. But I think a coach is money well spent. Then the next item on my list, and this is one that I thought everybody would have on their list, and that's to join the Triathlon Nutrition Academy. It seems like that's one where there's probably not a lot of topics on our list today. There might be. Someone else might speak to it. But nutrition is one of those things that you can do a lot of things, spend a lot of money and not get your nutrition figured out. But if you can join the Triathlon Nutrition Academy for the money that you spend, it helps you get your nutrition dialed in. It's a 9-month program that is difficult to find a match anyplace else for what you learn, the education program, what you get from it. And so I think joining TNA, the Triathlon Nutrition Academy, is something that everybody should consider. Or if you can't afford it this year, start looking at when should I do it? Can I do it in the next, when the doors open next time, which is next January? Do I have to wait for a while? But look at it and plan ahead.
Thanks. I think everyone should add that to the list as well.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. A couple more things on my list. I have a GoPro camera. I think a lot of people are familiar with GoPro. So a lot of my things are probably a little pricier because I have spent a lot of money on technology to try to improve my performance. And it does pay it off. But the GoPro cameras, I actually bought a GoPro camera about a year ago, and I use it for a variety of different things. I capture swim videos so I can do self-evaluations, but I also send those swim videos to a coach and have the coach do evaluations and give me feedback. And I use the GoPro on my bike. When I record, when I'm out riding, I record different things. And so there's just a lot of really good, useful things you can use a GoPro for. And so I recommend the GoPro. I don't remember what I paid for the GoPro. It was probably around $1,000 by the time I bought extra batteries or whatever. I mean, it's hard to buy cheap. Things are just not cheap.
Just full stop. Loaf of bread, $8.
That's why when you look at nutrition, nutrition's, when you look at how much it costs for the Triathlon Nutrition Academy, you're going to easily spend that much money on equipment. One way or another, you're going to spend your money. So nutrition's a good choice.
Yeah, we've had a GoPro since they first came out. My husband's very much an early adopter with things like that, and it is excellent. Like, it comes everywhere with us. It gets wet, it goes underwater, it captures all the fun family moments that a normal camera is just not right for. Yeah, we love it too.
Yeah, good point, because whenever I first started, I actually used my iPhone, and I bought a waterproof case off Amazon, and I submerged my phone underwater, and I take above water photos when I was swimming, and it worked just fine. But it just took all this extra work to get it in the special case and make sure it was watertight, and then take the video, and then I had to take it out of the case afterwards, and it was a big pain. And I was always worried about, was it going to damage my phone somehow? So I ended up getting the GoPro, and it's been great because the GoPro, I just plop it in the water or wherever. I mean, it's designed for that, and I don't have to worry about damaging it. And it's worked great. The next thing on my list is Form goggles. And I think most triathletes are familiar with Form goggles. I have the Form 2 goggles out now, which the difference between the Form 1 and the Form 2 is that the Form 2 has a built-in heart rate monitor that senses your heart rate off of your temple.
Cool!
And so if you need heart rate, that's the newest thingy. That's a selling point for Form. But the Form goggles are really nice because before I got Form goggles, there was always this mystery about how fast was I swimming. And Form helps your stroke rate what your pace is while you're swimming, your total distance. I mean, it just gives you all this information that previously I was having to use other things to try to measure it, whether I was using my watch or a stopwatch or some other darn thing, and trying to keep track of how many laps I was swimming. The foam goggles made all that easier. And then one of the things that is really going to play a bigger part for me this year is the direction. What do you call it? It tells you what direction you're swimming. So whenever you're trying to
backwards
swim, whenever you're trying to swim, you're trying to swim straight. You're trying to swim and make sure that you're not swimming left and right and zigzagging through your swim course. The foam goggles have this capability to help you swim in a straight line. And I'm going to use that feature this year to swim, hopefully in a straighter line in Sunny Coast next year.
Yeah, I think Steve needs these goggles so that he doesn't go off into the beach when he's not meant to.
Yeah, where they have to guide him back onto the course.
Yeah.
And even in my race, I'll be in New Zealand in December for a World Championship. I will use it there. I intend to use it there in the race. And so I think it's going to be pretty handy and hopefully it'll save some time in my races. Hope so. So if I can shave 8 minutes off my time just in better swim performance with the Swim Better technology, and if the goggles will help me swim straight, I really could be happy with myself eventually here.
Okay.
Then books. So books are nice. They can be like stocking stuffers. They don't cost that much. And I'm not going to read a list. What I'll point to is that podcast episode 151 had a list of 20 books that every athlete should read. And if I was to pick one off of that list and say, this is the one I thought was really meaningful for me, it was called Fast After 50. And it was really good to listen to that book. I listened to the audiobook. And so all the books were really good, but Fast After 50 was one that resonated well with me. And so I think that's a good option for stocking stuffers. Then the last item on my list for today is digital travel scales. So if you travel very much, which I do, and if you travel on airlines and you have these weight limits, it's nice to have a little portable digital weighing or scale that you can use to lift your luggage with and see how much it weighs before you leave the hotel or you leave to go get on the airline. Now, I use these most recently. I use them all the time before I leave home, but I took them with me to Australia last September for Sunny Coast 70.3. Because I knew I'd be getting souvenirs and other things coming home. And I really managed my weight really very closely. And so even on the hotel room on my last day that I was there, in order to make weight, I was throwing out any extra toothpaste, or if I had anything that I didn't think I was going to need between when I left the hotel till I got home, I was throwing it away. So I was throwing away extra soap. Instead of bringing home souvenir soap from the hotel, I was throwing away soap. I was throwing away extra toothpaste, anything I didn't need, because that's how close I was on weight. And those scales are really helpful, that I made sure that the stuff I needed got home and the other stuff I left there. I had spare batteries I was throwing away that I didn't need and things like that.
There's all the extra packets of Tim Tams you tried to smuggle back to the US, Kelly.
I had to eat all the Tim Tam candies that they gave me. It was, I had to eat all my extra stuff. And so it just turned out really well, though. So digital scales made a big difference.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That was Lynn's suggestion, who couldn't make it today, and I watched you use those, and they're going to be great for any triathlete that has to travel. Stuff adds up so quickly, particularly if you're traveling with a bike. So being really mindful that you don't go over on the weight limit, because you get stung for massive fees going over by, half a kilo or a kilo, which is 2.2 pounds. So that they're really light and great to travel with. So really good stocking stuffer, I think. So if you couldn't tell, Kelly is very much our data junkie, loves a good spreadsheet, loves to analyze things. So if you are that way inclined, or your triathlete, family friend, whoever it is in your life is that way inclined, a lot of those suggestions, while on the more expensive end, could be very well received on Christmas Day. So I'm going to go through Lynn's other suggestions, because she had some really good ones that I think need to still make the list. Her suggestions were the digital travel scales, but elastic laces, which anybody could buy as a stocking stuffer. They're very cheap. Make sure the colour, though, matches the person's tri-suit or matches their shoes. That's really important. But elastic laces are going to save you so much time in transition. And particularly if you're new to the sport, you need to get amongst elastic laces. We're not going to go down the no sock debate today, but that has happened on the podcast before. But whether you're putting on socks or not, no judgment here, but make sure you've got elastic laces so that you can just slip your foot in your shoe really quickly. Lynn's other suggestion was a gift voucher for some remedial sports massage, which as an active person, those things are gold, right? You just can't get enough of those. If I'm ever rich, I don't want the fame, just the riches, then I would have a massage every day. Like, how good would it be to have somebody massage your calves, your shoulders before you go to bed every night? Oh, that's living, Barry, for me. So massage vouchers for somebody that does a sports massage, right? So if you're listening and you're a triathlete, you know what I mean, but it has to hit the right spot. None of these like light finger touchy relaxation things, they just make me more frustrated than relaxed. They've got to actually sort the body out, put it back into shape and keep you training hard. All right, next we have Tony with his...
As a coach, I think Kelly was right. Everybody needs a coach.
Shameless plug.
And I also think that for the form goggles, one of the things, the old version will display heart rate if you have something that will project heart rate to it. So like if you can project it from your wrist off your like Garmin or whatever, you should be able to get it in the older version of the form goggles. But my list, so mine starts with the bike trainer. So, if you live in extreme weather conditions or rainy weather spots or whatever, a bike trainer, and you can go anywhere on the scale of a bike trainer. You can get a wheel where you don't have to take the wheel off. You can just throw your bike on it and spin and go. Or you can get one where you have to put it on, take your back tire off, put the chain onto the drive, and you ride virtually on a course like Zwift or Rovi or Full Gas or something like that. And it gives you more of an experience of actually riding outdoors, and it'll adjust with the incline, and the power that you're putting out. So, and to go along with that, if you want and like to ride hills or whatever, you can get the kicker climb. So when you start going up those hills, your bike will actually lean up like you're actually going up the hill.
Cool.
And so you can get a more true experience on riding outside. Another thing you can get for your bike, I highly recommend it, especially if you ride outside a lot, is the Varia Bike Radar. You can get the radar. They've got a few different versions. They've got one that's got a recorder in it, and they've got one that's just the light that flashes. And the radar, if you've got a bike computer connected to it, the radar will let your bike computer know when there's a vehicle behind you. It'll pick up bikes, it'll pick up people, it'll pick up cars and trucks, and it kind of gives you an idea how fast they're coming up behind you as well. So, and if there's multiple vehicles or just one, so they don't scare you when it flies by you and buzzes you way too close, which happens to everybody, right? And then
that's a good one.
Some gift card ideas. I think your local bike shop probably ought to be the top on the list. Can't go wrong there because you're in there a lot anyway, so might as well spend money, right? Amazon, so you can put it in the cart, right? So add everything to the cart. The feed, if you don't know what kind of gels they want specifically or nutrition products that they use on their bikes or while they're out running, the feed, they can probably get what they need. And then the last thing I would say is like for recovery, you could get like a Whoop band like this or the Aura Ring, and just to monitor recovery better. It tells you when you're supposed to go to sleep and how much sleep you need and how tired your muscles are for recovery purposes.
The last one is good. There's so much cool wearable technology at the moment, isn't there? Like it's just getting bigger and better. Going back to your smart trainer, is there any particular ones that you guys like? Because it is like a huge minefield of information about what one to go. Perhaps we even need to do a podcast episode solely on what type of trainer is a good one to get.
The newer ones, I mean, you have to know what size cassette it'll hold. The newer ones will hold a 12-speed. Some of the older ones will do 11 and below, and some will do 10 and below. So you just need to know like what gears you have, especially for the direct drive with where you take the back wheel off. And there's also power tolerance variances like like the Wahoo, the newest Wahoo and the newest Garmin, I think are like 1% off, where some of the older ones and a lot of them with the wheels on trainers are 4 or 5% difference.
Okay. Anybody else have some good suggestions around smart trainers?
I've been using the Wahoo, but that's the only one I've used. I'm very pleased with it. I've used it this is my third winter, and it's been very reliable, and I've enjoyed it, but that's the only one I have experience with.
Yeah, maybe I'll jot down an idea to get somebody on to talk to us about trainers to decide, because yes, the world is your oyster. They didn't exist back in my day. I used to train on rollers. You know, these things that you just try and hang on for dear life. Yeah, really good for sorting out pedal stroke efficiency, but also a little bit scary. Okay, thank you, Tony. All right, to wrap us up, we have Josh, who is making his first podcast debut. He is only in phase 1 of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program, and he's like, yeah, I'll do a podcast. So welcome, Josh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
What are your gift suggestions for the triathletes in your life, or, maybe selfishly yourself?
It's all selfish, my list. It's all about me, Christmas. I guess following on from Kelly and that the coaches thing, actually, which I didn't actually have on my list, but I think that's a great idea. But across all 4 disciplines, like you could obviously have a multi-sport triathlon coach, which I've had and continue to have. I've had a couple over the years. Specifically, I would always recommend a swim coach because you can, use a huge amount of time in the pool and spend hours and hours and hours and weeks and months and get very little improvement. But if you've got a coach on deck looking at you and doing stroke correction and drills, amazing difference that'll make. And I went from a 2-minute plus per 100 swimmer after 18 months of swimming, and then got a coach and got down to repping 135s, 138s over Ironman distance.
Yeah, wow.
In about 6-8 months. So certainly recommend it.
And if you don't have access to that, get Kelly Swim Better and Form goggles to
Absolutely.
help with that as well.
And then look, just in my short time and being part of this program and the impact that's had on my training and recovery already is TNA membership. Get on it. Like it's made such a difference. And I'll be honest, look, I haven't embraced it all and got my life organised and doing it to the letter yet.
Oh, it's early days, mate. It's early days.
I know, and I'm like midway through moving house and everything as well. So, but already what I've learned and what I've implemented is making a massive difference. And for the price of some of the other things that are on my wish list here, you've got a membership to TNA, and it's going to make a huge difference to your racing and performances. Yeah, certainly recommend that. But my main list is race entries. So this isn't a cheap sport by any stretch of the imagination. And I seem to have a taste for expensive races for whatever reason. The longer you go, the dearer it gets.
Yeah.
And anyone who knows me well enough's got a pretty good idea of the races I like to do. But by all means, if you want to pony up for Hell of the West for me, any of the half Ironman series, particularly Sunny Coast or Melbourne, or if you want to chip in and pay for Bustleton Ironman for me, by all means, I'll give you a shout out. So yeah, but that also extends into ocean swim races, the half marathons that I do 3 half marathons a year. So any of those, by all means, feel free. I'll put my details in the chat later so you can just direct deposit.
Race entries is a good one, though, because it is an expensive sport. Just check with the person or, maybe hint at what race entry you want so they're not registering you for something like, I don't know, Challenge Roth or Alcatraz or anything like that, then you don't actually want to do it.
Or have your employer cover it. My employer covers my race entries. I have to travel to the race, but I get the race entry back, yes.
How do you do that? What's your secret?
My employer. It's a health benefit. They get some kind of tax thing for our health plan or something because they pay for race entries.
Well, that is very cool. So hit Tony up with where he works if you would like a career change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had my Sunshine Coast 70.3 paid for by my employer this year because I was doing a fundraiser for the Heart Foundation because I had a heart attack a couple of years ago, just after I started working for them. So maybe they felt guilty. I don't know. So
workers' comp. Yep. Okay.
Next thing on my list is bulk supply of My preferred race or training nutrition will always be warmly received. Once again, anyone who knows me probably knows what I use, but similar to what the others have said, vouchers for the feed or something like that, or
aid station in Australia,
or even at the Trailco or Wildfire, anywhere like that here in Australia. It's going to get utilised very, very well, because that's one of those on costs that people who aren't in the sport don't realise, that how many hundreds or thousands of dollars a year that we burn on consumable nutrition throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? You can make your own, and that's something I can teach you in the Academy program, how to do that. But yeah, you're right. Particularly if you're using the more expensive end of the spectrum gels like Morton and SAS Betafuel, they're about $5 a gel, and that adds up really quickly if you're having a couple of those an hour.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and I'm also in the processes of trialling a new one. So I normally use Pure, and I order them in bulk, but I'm in the processes now of my body saying, yeah, we might need to try something different. So yeah, I'll probably end up with something expensive like that, knowing my luck, but we'll see what happens. For anyone who wants to make me feel really, really special and the absolute love of their life, some new race wheels.
Are you suggesting I give this suggestion to your partner, or just send her the link for this episode for you? You're welcome.
You two can work it out between you. So yeah, some new race wheels.
Jesus, mate.
Craftworks Ultimate SL85s, just as an example. But yeah, they would fit in the stocking nicely. I'll even get a large stocking to accommodate. And then new bike computer, only Garmin. Please don't buy another model. It'll have to be Garmin. I'm just a stickler for that.
Any particular model that I can, put a good word in for you?
Anything up the higher end of the range. I started off quite budget.
The most expensive, done.
Yeah. I started off with just a small budget one, so it's all up from here.
The 1040 is the new big one, so yeah, go for the 1040.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
All right, great list, Josh. Specifically wish list for Josh, but great ideas for other people too, and perhaps something that you can then add to your list. I love that we've got a big range of costs too. We've got some very, lower end of the spectrum things like a foam roller, elastic laces, all the way up to a smart trainer. So depending on how good you've been this year, there's a variety of different options. So maybe what I would suggest, if you are being selfish and want things specifically for you, print out the list of all of these gifts and leave it, unattended on the kitchen counter with some circles around the products that you would love. So go and grab that at dietitianapproved.com/Xmas. All right, any last words from you guys?
I was thinking of something that we missed.
You could honestly go forever with this episode. Things that, like, once you get on a roll, you're like, oh, and this.
Tri suits, or tri gear, any kind of clothing, shoes.
Socks.
Is another good one. I don't do socks, so I don't need socks. So don't give me socks. Even if they did say TNA, I wouldn't want socks.
Okay, another bonus one to add to the list. Tri-suit. We do have a TNA tri-suit coming, but that is only for TNA athletes, so not one you can add to the list, unfortunately. Well, lads, thank you so much for giving our listeners your Christmas suggestions, but also to, give them a little bit of a leg up with some ideas for themselves or the triathletes in their life. It has been a very male-dominated episode, but we did have some female influence in there. Hope you get better soon, Lynn. But thank you so much for joining me. Print out the list, dietitianapproved.com/Xmas. And I wanted to drop this episode before the Black Friday sales hit so that you've got a few weeks' time to get organised for Christmas, because if you're like me, I like to be organised, and all of my Christmas shopping is done in November. I'm not a last-minute Larry. I'm sure you've probably picked that up about my personality already. But you're not likely to make a good choice and make a good decision if you're out shopping for Christmas presents on Christmas Eve in the late night extended shopping hours, right? You're just going to grab the closest hamper to the checkout and be done with it. And, maybe that's okay, but I reckon we can do better. So go and grab the list, dietitianapproved.com/Xmas, and we all wish you a very Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.